Hi everyone, Janey here. Welcome back to my garden. It feels like it's been forever since I've said that. Last week I was on a trip to Cultivate in Columbus, Ohio. I had so much fun there. It was so wonderful. Seeing all the plants, seeing all the people. It was, I hadn't seen a lot of these people in a whole year. So it was great to see them again. And I had a blast, but it's pretty much a guarantee these days that if I go on a trip, I get sick. I don't know what it is. I must just do too much when I'm at the trip and get sick from the airplane or something like that. But of course, when I got home, I started feeling kind of crappy and I spent 3 days in bed, which was very nice. So now I'm finally feeling better. I'm out in the garden. Everything is looking beautiful. It is really, really growing. We've had some really, really hot temperatures this summer and a lot of things have suffered, but then a lot of other things have said, thank you, can I have more? So I just want to get out here today and just do some easy gardening, just a couple chores that I've been wanting to get done. Well, I do want to cut a cut flower bouquet. That's not a chore. That is just something that I want to do because being at Cultivate and seeing all the beautiful flowers, I'm appreciating them so much more. So here's a little overview of how the garden's been growing. Even the monster has been growing. Everything's looking great. Look at my pumpkins, you guys. And even the corn is starting to grow up around the propane tank, which is really exciting. And then you can see my cut flower garden here. That is looking really good. I have all these beautiful zinnias. I have some celosia that's not quite ready over there. Some beautiful gomphrena, even some random dahlias and stuff like that, and sunflowers. So I think what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to do a quick cut flower bouquet. It's early enough. Usually you want to cut early in the morning before the heat comes, which is why I wanted to do this first. Look at my zinnias. This is the Benary's giant light pink. I think bright pink, light pink. I'll put it on the screen now. It's so beautiful. I've grown this one for a couple years. But just as a quick reminder, when you do harvest zinnias, you want to do the wobble test. So you can see this one is absolutely perfect. It's not wobbling to and fro when I shake it with my fingers like that. But then if you see this one, it's wobbling way too much. Or this one is wobbling way too much. So this one's not ready yet. If I was to cut this one and put it in my bouquet, it would flop over. But ones like this that are nice and stiff are perfect and ready to cut. So I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna cut some of these. I even see some amaranth over there that I think will be fun. So let's cut a cut flower bouquet this morning. Same thing when you're harvesting gomphrena. You kind of wobble them just like you wobble your zinnias, and you see if you can find one that's pretty stiff. This one looks, yeah, there we go. So see how I wobble that one and it's pretty stiff, but then I wobble this one and it kind of flops back and forth. So I know this one is going to stay upright in my flower arrangement. These have just started blooming, so I don't expect a lot of them to be ready to be harvested, but you can go through and you can check and find one like this that's going to stay upright and it's going to look so much better in your arrangement. Okay, so hopefully you all can see kind of what I did. Instead of arranging in here, I actually arranged in my hands just so that I can make sure that I spaced everything out as I needed it. Basically, I wanted this pink gomphrena to be kind of interspersed all around, and I wanted this red hoppy amaranth. I wanted the foliage to be my greenery. So I think that looks really good. And then I'm gonna kind of measure it. There's a couple pieces I have to cut off the bottom. And put it in here. And it kind of loosens up a little bit. Gorgeous, isn't that pretty? Such a pretty summery flower arrangement. This is gonna go inside on my kitchen table. And the other thing, or the next thing I wanted to do today is I have some purple hyacinth bean that I've been growing in my backyard, kind of by my backyard patio. And I've been meaning to train it up in the pergola and I haven't done it yet. So it definitely needs to get trained because it is sprawling absolutely everywhere. So let me go put this inside and then we'll get started on that. Here's another little sneak peek of what's been going on. We are getting our screen installed. They're coming, they should actually be here in any minute. They've already gotten the frame in, but we got to get the actual screen part in. I will show you all that in a video later this week. But here is what I want to work on right now. This is my purple hyacinth bean, and I love this plant. I've kind of been torturing it a little bit right here because this soil is just absolutely terrible. Well, of course, it's covered with gravel. It's actually covered with landscape fabric and then covered with gravel, and it's obviously been compacted. And I tried to plant it in there, just straight down in the soil, and I actually planted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Those 2 got covered with the gravel that Jason and I installed for our little patio, but all the rest of them died except for these 2. But at least we have this one, so that's nice, and that one too. So I have to start training it up. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hammer and nails to attach twine. And then I'm just going to wrap it up the twine, and that should be enough for this to grow up. This is hardy to zone 10, and I've had some people tell me that you can overwinter this. I've never actually been able to successfully overwinter this, and I've definitely tried. So it just dies at the end of the season and you just cut it back. But I don't know, I just love this stuff. It has so much life and greenery to places that you really, really need it, like a patio cover, pergola right here. Okay, so that looks quite a lot better. The sun is starting to come up, so it's getting right in my shot. But, so I just put the twine, I just wrapped it around the nails and tied it. It's not super sturdy, but it's enough. I've done this, like I said, for a couple years, and it's enough for these plants. The purple hyacinth beans were used to like sprawling out in all directions, so now that I've trained them up, they kind of look a little wonky, but very quickly they'll start growing up, and they'll have that what am I trying to say? That vertical look, which we want. And I actually think they'll start growing faster because plants will actually grow faster if they're climbing. Like, for instance, if you have a pothos inside, like an indoor plant, if you let the pothos hang over the plant, it's going to grow slower than if you give it something to climb up, like a moss pole or something. And so I have a feeling that these are going to act the exact same way. So I'm glad that that's done. That needed to happen like a month ago, but that's okay. So the last task that I wanted to get done today is not as much fun as harvesting cut flowers, making a bouquet, but that's okay. It's something that I definitely need to get done. This is my lavender twist redbud that I have in the front, but on top of my berm. And it's newly just planted this year, and it does have a fungus on it. A fungus that is a black spot fungus, I'm pretty sure, which is Cercospora, which is a very common fungus for redbuds. Let me show you. So you can see on all of the leaves, there are these black spots on here, and I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, this is just a black spot fungus, like I said, called Cercospora, because redbuds are so susceptible to this. And they're usually susceptible when they're stressed out, whether they have too little water or too much water. I think this one has too little water because it is planted in a berm, on a berm, and we've been so hot. I've been trying my hardest to water this as much as I can, but I think it's just a little bit stressed out. Now, if you see something like this on your redbud, it's not that big of a deal. You technically could leave it. These are deciduous leaves or deciduous trees, so they're going to lose all their leaves at the end of the season. And then the best thing to do is just clean up the leaves, because the fungus will stay on the leaves over winter and then could infect the tree again next year. So when they lose all your leaves, you just want to clean up the leaves really well, and then hopefully that should take care of it next season. The thing I'm concerned about is this is such a young plant, and this is such an extensive problem now at this point, that I do want to treat it. So if you do want to treat the Cercospora on your redbud, you just want to use something like a copper fungicide. And copper is what is normally used for any bacterial or fungal infections that look like this: black spot, Cercospora, powdery mildew, stuff like that. So I'm just going to just spray this really quick today. It is very dry and very hot today, so the copper fungicide is going to dry very quickly, and you want this to dry very quickly, because that's when it's actually going to start working. So I'll just be watching this and see how it does, but I'm just a little worried, a little concerned about this tree now at this point, just because it's so young, and because the Cercospora infection is just pretty much everywhere. So not as much fun, but I do want to treat it before it gets out of hand. Okay, and that is it. So this is what's called a ready to use, and that is when you buy it at the store, and it comes in a spray bottle. You don't need to dilute it. It's just ready to spray right on. I don't use a ton of copper, so for me, for right now, it's fine to use in a ready to use, but you can get it in a concentrate. If you get it in the concentrate, you do have to dilute it. So just know that. And then the more I'm looking at this, the more it's like, man, I got to get on staking this tree. But I will get to that. I'm taking it kind of slow today. I'm sure you all can tell. So I'm happy with what I got done. So I think that's going to be it for today. I got a couple things done. It feels so good to get back out into the garden. I am going to go wash my hands after using the copper. It's relatively safe for humans and for pets. And especially on a day like today where there's literally no wind and it's pretty warm, that stuff is going to dry so fast. So I think it should work really well on that Cercospora black spot. Hopefully it'll do the trick, but I might have to do another 1 or 2 applications. So I will just watch it. I think I'll try and put some information in the description down below on Cercospora, because it's pretty common for redbuds. If you do have redbuds and you get that black spot on it, it's 9 times out of 10 it's going to be Cercospora. So like I said, it feels good to get out in the garden. Everything's growing. Some things don't like the heat, but some things are loving the heat. And so it's kind of nice for me to see what is thriving in, these harsh conditions. And then I think I'm going to plant more of those. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.